Hey guys, this is Tauna, and today we're going to be talking about Typal decks, or Kindred, or whatever they've ended up calling it. I think it's Kindred nowadays, but I know I lose track of it. Either way, we're going to be talking about them because I wanted to talk about some lesser known ones, or ones that people aren't running as much. Now, why am I doing this? Because I am sick of seeing every elf deck being an elf deck. I'm sick of seeing, a million dragon decks, and I am guilty of it. I've got a dragon decks. I've got, a dinosaur deck and stuff, but I wanted to talk about some lesser known ones because I think that, it's fun to kind of branch out and have a look at new things. And given the way they've added a few big kind of commanders in the most recent set in Color of Mana, I think that we could potentially see some more commanders for some lesser known tribals and kind of see as to how they kind of go. So the first one here we're going to be talking about is Apes. Now, Apes really don't have all that many commanders. It's really only Kibo, which we'll talk about in a second. But there are apes and gorillas and, monkeys and stuff like that all through all the different kind of sets. Apes and monkeys, well, I think gorillas end up getting lumped in with apes most of the time. But, there is a lot of different characters through all the sets, and keep in mind that given the fact that we're going to be going to Bloomburrow, and that's meant to be like a animal based kind of set, we could definitely see some really interesting kind of creatures from that. The one commander that I've talked about here was Kibo, who gives everyone bananas. And then when they kind of break those bananas, because they can sacrifice them to get red and green and you gain life, when they sacrifice them, you're going to get to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control that's an ape or a monkey. You also force people to be able to sacrifice them. So having Kibo be your leader here is going to make some amazing things for any time you've got apes out. Tarion as well is really good with this because you're going to get the +1/+1 counters from removing the artifacts. But overall, I just find it a really cool kind of set, really cool, interesting deck. That I wish was, around more. I guess Kibo's I'm kind of talking about him, but he's kind of pretty popular. But, in compared to other tribals, I wish that, this was a bigger one. Next up, we've got Assassins here. There is a new Assassin commander with Etrata, Deadly Fugitive there. There's Assassins, again, all throughout different sets and everything, dating, way back to, there's some obviously in the most recent set with Color of Mana, given the fact that's the whole basis of that kind of set. There's a lot of different Assassins that can do a lot of different things, even, things that can be able to summon Assassins like the Vraska, the Unseen and everything. There's people who run, some changelings in there because you've got black typically within the Assassins. So having, some of the changelings in there works as well. The commander I was looking at here was Ramses because I found that really interesting, giving Death Touch to himself, and then other Assassins you control all get +1/+1. But the last bit here, whenever a player loses the game, if you were attacked this turn, by an assassin, you blah 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 blah. Whenever a player loses the game, if they were attacked this turn by an assassin you controlled, you win the game. I find that a very interesting kind of win con, and I'd love to be able to see people kind of take control of that and try and do it. The next one here is Frogs. Yes, frogs. Frogs are very, very interesting. There is a lot of different frog cards kind of spread all throughout the different sets. The interesting thing that I found about them is that while there is obviously a lot of frogs, there's also toads that got kind of retconned into frogs. Stuff like, let's have a look here. There's this one here, for example, this bloated toad. If you have a look at the actual card, it says summon toad, but if you go over to the Scryfall, it's actually been changed into a frog. So, there's a lot of different froggy cards that kind of can go here. Stuff like Thalia as well as a human frog horror. You've got, the Gitrog monster. The toads all got changed into frogs too. You've got, frog snakes, frogs, everything. The commander I was looking at for this was Grolnok, the Omnivore, making it so that whenever a frog you control attacks mill, and then whenever a permanent you control is put into the graveyard from your library, you get to exile it with croak counters on it, and then you can play lands and cast spells from all the cards that have croak counters on them. So it's a very interesting way to be able to get some huge kind of milling through your deck and being able to kind of, you know, put a whole bunch of stuff in exile and then be able to play it essentially as a second hand, as which is very, very cool. I love that idea. The next one here is wolves. Wolves really have had, you know, a couple commanders. We've got Tolsimir, we've got Tovolar, we've got Seraph. I don't know, butchered all three of those. Feldorn as well. However, the most recent one with Voja is insane. Someone on the subreddit the other day was talking about the fact that Voja is like Huckball on crack, because he's just going to hand out so many +1/+1 counters. Huckball's like, oh, everyone gets a +1/+1 each turn, we're all happy. Voja's like, nah, fuck it. Grab all your dice, shove them on each of your cards that is out there. They're all going to get all those +1s. It's a crazy amount of +1s that you can get. Now, obviously you're thinking, but Tauna, this is only +1s if you've got elves. Did you know that there is a lot of elves that summon wolves? Or you could just, you know, do a wolf tribal with this little splashing of elves for, you know, flavor. You know, there's lots of different ways you can build it. Also, you could just turn all of your wolves into elves. Why not? Maskwood Nexus up, bitch. We've got the dogs. Dogs really have not had a commander. We had, you know, Rin and Seri, good, and that was really it as like a actual dog-based commander. You know, there's other commanders that are dogs, but there's only ever really been one dog commander with Rin and Seri. Now we all of a sudden get another 2 doggy commanders. Sophia is out there handing your doggy snacks with food, and then Tessac making it so that all your dogs have Unleash, because that is freaking hilarious. I love that. So Sophia, as we talked about a little bit there, Sophia's going to make it so you create Tiny, Scooby-Doo, a 2/2 green dog detective with trample, and then you can pay 1, sacrifice an artifact, put a +1/+1 on each dog you control. So you're just handing out a whole bunch of Scooby snacks, and then whenever a dog deals combat damage, you're also going to create some food and then investigate. You can then sack those, why not? You know, add some treasures in here. There's lots of really great ways you can potentially build Sophia. There's enough dogs out there that you can build her so many different ways. Like, you know, even like Mowu, loyal companion here. If 1 or more +1/+1s would be put on him, put that many +1, you know, you're getting a whole bunch of +1/+1s out. You've got the pack leader there. You've got loyal. There's so many really great dogs, even down to the dog soldiers, the Anok dog soldiers. There's a lot of different dog soldiers, or the mushroom watch dogs, because it's sacrifice of food. You can do this. You can sack a food, and then you're going to be able to make use of the foods as well that you're going to be able to create from here. There's so many different ways that you can potentially build this, and so many dogs. Look at this, release the dogs. I love it. There's so many really cool ways you can potentially build this. Even K9, you can chuck K9 in there, because why not? K9's amazing. And then the last one here we're going to be talking about is plants. Plants, there is a lot of kind of like secret plants that have kind of snuck through. Plants just here and there every once in a while. Typically they're to do with like landfall and those kinds of things, like, you know, the Avenger of Zendikar here. When a landfall, put +1/+1s on each plant creature you control. Landfall here, whenever a land enters, you gain life. There's a lot of really great plant landfall cards, or just plants overall. They've kind of, you know, just snuck in every once in a while, 1 or 2 here and there, and overall you just build up this deck of plants that's like, you know, plant skeleton, plant hydra, plant zombie, plant wall, plant beast, plant zombie. Like, there's so many different plants that you can potentially build in here. The one that I like for this is Phylath, the world sculptor. He's going to make it so that you create some plants there for each basic land you control. And then from there, whenever a land enters, you're going to put 4 +1/+1s onto your plants, so you can slowly ramp up your plants. And all of a sudden, you've just got big plants that you're chucking at everyone. They're just really, really interesting. And I love the idea behind this. There's even Nissa here being able to create plants. And then you can put the +1/+1s on your plants. There's just really, really interesting ways to be able to build this. So these are in obviously reverse order. Plants, I don't think that anyone's really building plants as a tribal. Dogs is really, really new. Wolves, there's a few, but, you know, we're a bit there. Frogs as well, they're kind of newer. Well, actually, frogs are kind of oldish, but, you know, not many people are building them up. Assassins, a fair few more, and then apes are kind of the most popular of these 6 here. But let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Have a great day and goodbye.